Welcome to another episode of the Student of the Game podcast. I am your host, Kyle Spain, and I am excited and blessed to be here. I have another special guest with me, and pretty much all the guests that come on here are special, but another special guest that is on here with me to bring you some more knowledge and basketball experience. Went to Charleston Southern for college. Played overseas for at least 12 years. I'm not sure if he's still playing, but we're going to find out. Played in at least four different countries: the Netherlands, Germany, Italy, and Japan. And he is the creator of the Rare Foundation. Welcome, my man, Kelvin Martin. What is going on, my brother?
Not much, man. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Blessed, man. I'm here. How you
Yeah,
doing?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you for asking. I definitely want to talk about what your gear that you got going on, but we'll start with how you got started, man, with basketball, and what age were you, and how did you get into the game?
I probably started playing basketball when I was probably I can't even, not most of us, I can't say everybody, but most of us, we started at a young age. So I've been knowing the scene the game since I was about like five, six, something like this.
Okay.
And I just got started. My older brother played, my father played, my uncles played, and it was just something that they did. Um, and I didn't probably take it serious until I was about eighth grade. Like eighth grade, I took it serious then. Like probably after getting out of middle school, going to high school, something, just wanted something to be about just minds, I want to say. Because, and where I'm from, football is big. So, and everybody makes it off of playing football. And I just wanted something different. And basketball was that. I enjoyed the game. And that's how it happened.
Okay. All right. So, what was your high school experience like?
Um, high school, I still think about high school to this day because it was just, it was an experience when you think about it. When I was a freshman, I started playing JV as an eighth grader and
Okay.
in high school. And then as a freshman, I started down varsity. And during that time, we had a football coach as our basketball coach. In the South, that's just common.
Okay.
After that, I had two dunks my freshman year. I'm probably the only person that dunked during that season. Maybe one other guy. Bless you, bro. Um, and it was a fun time. I was excited after the season was over. You know, just to look forward to the next year. And going into my sophomore year, we end up getting uh a basketball coach, somebody that has won a championship in a close city called Tifton, Georgia. There was a Tifton Blue Devils who won a championship back in the '90s, early '90s, early to mid '90s. He won his state championship. It was like sixth or fifth in the nation, I want to say at the time. Like they was really good, and only like team that really made some noise in the South. His name was Tommy Blackshear. Still a great friend of mine, a brother of mine, and he changed the game for me because he was like the only person at that time that I knew that went to college to play basketball, and he was a coach. And he was someone I could relate to. So I always just was always around him. For the next 3 years of my high school, I was around. I was trying to I was a sponge. I was trying to learn as much as I could from him because he was the only one that been there where I wanted to go. And from that point forward, he helped me a lot. In high school, he helped me to be wanting to be. He pushed me because he changed at the time when I was a freshman. He changed my position. He was like, "You're not going to be a 5 man when you go overseas," which is crazy because overseas I play every position on the court. When I think about my professional career, I play every position. There's not a I might not play there like the whole season, but at some point I had to do every from 1 through 5. I played every position. So in that sense, he prepared me in a sense, just about me being a guard and just being in high school. It was fun, man. I end up average like my senior year, average like 28 or 14. I wasn't always the greatest shooter because we didn't have that. We just didn't have the he was one man, he was coaching both girls and boys, varsity teams and JV. So, you know, um it was only so much you could do and I had to learn for myself. And that was just a part of my development. I think during my high school career, that was just what it was. It was a lot of love. It was a lot of love. My city, it was great. Come from a small city, but just as far as playing high school basketball, it's something I'll never forget because I remember that feeling. That feeling of that small gym being packed, everybody in the gym buying outfits just to come to this basketball game,
Right.
standing on the floor because there wasn't that much room. Uh, yeah, it was just a time. It was a time. The social media was back then, and it been some crazy footage. I feel like.
Yeah, right. I'm sure, man. I'm sure definitely gonna get in a little bit of that as well. So talk to me about how you transitioned going to Charleston Southern. Were you on a scholarship there? Like, how did that ended up work out?
Um,
How was that process?
yeah. So to going into the recruiting process of in high school, I think it was just overwhelming because at that point, when I was a senior, I probably had like 15. Like when my senior year was about to start, I had like 15 Division I mid-major scholarships, and I think at that time, I knew it was a big deal and it was a lot. It was a lot of attention I was getting to where coaches was coming to the games, calling me every day, like before the game. It was a lot. And I was handling a lot of that by myself. So when it came down to picking my school, I only went to one other school visit. I only visited one school that was in New York, Carlstone Brook University, which in the 4 years that I was in school, they at least won. They won every year besides maybe one. They won the championship. So, but I ended up going to Charleston, and I think it was just primarily because when I was on my recruit visit, I think the coaches didn't understand that I was going to be around the players. So if I'm going to be around the players, I need to spend time with them. I need to understand who I'm gonna be around. I understand the coaching staff is there, and you might be a great fit, which in it was shown that they end up winning a lot. But I think the main thing for that is that I think the main thing with that was just I wasn't around the players. So when I went to Charleston and I got on the visit, one I was a little bit overwhelmed just about all the whole recruiting process. But I end up meeting my brother, whose name is Jamarco Warren, who on my visit, we just clicked. And I remember I left the visit and I had another visit set up. And I was like, bro, I'm about to come to Charleston. I'm about to just come to Charleston because I'm just tired of this. And that's how that ended up happening. just off that simple thing. I do, and I will say, I wish that I can't regret anything, but I do. Looking back, I should have took all my visits. I should have took all my visits. I should have went through the process. I shouldn't have allowed no one to make it feel like they should have rushed me or like you know how it gets to that recruiting process. It's like, well, we got such and such coming next week. If you don't commit, then it's cool.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
you won't be, you'll get me. I shouldn't let that get to me like that. But it wasn't so much of that. I just me and him once we clicked, and I was like, I feel comfortable here. And it just felt like the right place at the time. Like I'm not gonna say in my college career, I didn't feel like I wanted to transfer anything. I did, but you know, it was the experience. It was a journey for me.
Yeah, man. And that's I appreciate you sharing that because a lot of people don't have that type of guidance. I mean, from what I've been experiencing, there's been a lot of us as athletes that didn't get the proper guidance that we could have used, in our careers at whatever level. And it sounds like, I mean, what? So you're 18, what, 19 years old, maybe you're a little bit younger, and you're trying to figure out what colleges. You're figuring out all that by yourself. You still got a young mind, don't have any experience, don't know what to expect. That sounds like it's tough, man. And
Yeah,
not only that, trying to choose a school that you're comfortable with. I mean, you can't just go anywhere, right? You got to be somewhere where you're going to feel at home. So that's important, especially for the ones for our viewers and people that are going to be watching this uh, as they're trying to figure out their college path, trying to find somebody that you can talk to, get that experience and that knowledge of what to expect and how to choose your schools because, you had those regrets. Obviously, you can't you everything is 2020 in hindsight though, right? So now that you have more experience, you're able to go back and reflect and look at, well, I should have taken that. And that's a part of the reason why I started this podcast as well, so we can give the generation coming up some insight and advice on what to expect when they're going into their process of trying to choose a college, man, because it's not easy, right? You got to be able to fit in. Like you said, I wanted to ask the importance of being around players, being around people that are good that you're going to be playing with. Because I feel like a lot of players these days aren't don't understand how important chemistry is for winning a basketball game. How important togetherness and team chemistry is um, when trying to win basketball games. So I appreciate you sharing that. So my next question is, you get to college. And how was your freshman year? How was that for you?
I also want to just piggyback on what you said about just the choice of college and part of my choice of going to Charleston because my family ended up moving to New Jersey, so I didn't want to be so close and going into New York where it was just a train ride and I can go home. I kind of wanted. I always knew I was going to be away from my family, so Charleston kind of fit for me being. I was like 15, 16 hours driving away from my family. I just couldn't like, hey, I'm ready to go home. Like I couldn't do
Right.
that. I was
Yeah.
closer to my home, like when my hometown was in Georgia, but they didn't live down there, so it didn't matter. My me going to college and as you said, just understanding the players and who I'm gonna be around. Also, just the university. What type of university you going to? Like, I think I had the opportunity to go to an Ivy League school and didn't even know nothing about that. So it just like you said, that what you're doing is great because there's a lot of information. Whether it's going to a HBCU, which I didn't really know nothing about until I got older and there was talking about it. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I didn't know not really much about it, but it is what it is. And I appreciate you for having this podcast because even for myself, I always try to give back the game that I didn't get and
Yeah.
receive. And I know that is a part of my purpose of what I have to do because there's so much of my experiences that I have in my life that I have to give to other people and not be a
Absolutely.
gatekeeper. That's not what it's supposed to be. But anyway, my bad. Me being in
That's good.
college, um, I got to college and I felt like I needed to assert myself there because of everybody was talking about like, oh, you're gonna play in college, this and that and third. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. I'm here. I'm here, and I ain't come to come off the bench. I didn't come here to play behind somebody. That's not my mentality. I come here to start, and I come here to build a legacy here. I come here when I leave, it's like, oh, okay, he was one of the good ones, great ones to be exact. Like, so that's how it was. So I got there and I was always getting into it. I was always I didn't know how much I taught junk until like I got overseas. Like I got to like playing in college. Like I'm a competitor. So that's how
Yeah.
it was. So I'm gonna challenge you. No matter who you are, I'm gonna challenge you. And that's what was happening a lot. I was challenging a lot of guys where it was like, all right. And it got to the point where me and my coach would get into it a lot because I'm
Okay.
very challenging. Like I'm just like this ain't it. So it put so much into the point where I enjoyed it, but it wasn't what I expected to be. And therefore, my freshman year was like, I ended up getting hurt like later towards the end of the season, and me and my coach ended up bumping heads a lot because I'm just like, this ain't it. Like I'm losing the love of basketball. This ain't fun. Like I'm not enjoying going to playing. Like it wasn't we wasn't developing the right way. It was just, hey, we're gonna go out here 60 minutes, we're gonna work out. No skill development in the sense of how it should be. It was we just gonna work out till you tired. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Okay, I guess. um, so I end up doing it and I end up getting hurt. Like I end up like partially torn my MCL, I want to say.
What year was that?
Um, this is my freshman year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this is my freshman year. And then and it caused it like I missed like maybe 5 to 6 weeks. And in the last week I ended up coming back. But in those 5 weeks, I probably went like 2 weeks without talking to my head coach. Like 2 weeks.
Hmm.
It's
Okay.
just I'm not even proud of it, but it's just my experience. I went two
Yeah,
weeks
absolutely.
just because we didn't see eye to eye. Like, and it got to the point where I it's just a situation that we just didn't see eye to eye. That's just how it is. When you come to a situation, that's why it's important to know everything about where you're going. Like you need to know everything, the city, the university, the people that you're going to be involved with, their opportunities, and that's just a part of it. And in that experience, it showed me because I'm so used to having I was in high school and I'm used to having a coach that I had a close connection with. In college, it's a little different. You can't expect to have the same relationship you have with your high school coach. You got other players that are really good. Like so, it's like okay, you know. So I was very assertive. I was very loud. I was very dominant. Where I'm the best. I don't care who's around me. I'm the best. And I have my brother who was really, really great, like as a basketball player. But even with him being there, I still feel like I'm the best player. And that's what I think that made us great because we was competitive like that. And then we brought in when people came to get recruited, we brought in those guys that had that same mentality. Like, yeah, you may be good, you may be good, and but I'm the best out here. Cool. We'll see. We'll go play pickup and we'll see who the best. And then and that was just the culture of it. It was so much of the culture through my college career that, you know, we didn't win. We didn't win through my 4 years until my my junior year. My brother Dave, we end up going 500. I think we just won 16 games and lost 15. So it was our first year going over 500. Great experience. And then my senior year, we end up winning like 18, 19 games. It was a winning season. It was our second winning season. And then after I graduated, they ended up winning the Big South in the regular season. They ended up winning the conference championship, the Big South regular season. Like at least two years they won after I graduated. And it was just the coach that we loved. And the coach that won my freshman year, in my senior year, he was a freshman. He's the coach now. One of the great players that was on that team
Mm.
my senior
All right.
year. So it's just a time just to think about like, yeah, we had to go through a rough patch because it changed it. But even through those 4 years, like I said, like, and I told I went 2 weeks without talking to my coach because it was just he didn't see me. And I explained that into a situation where I was going through a lot mentally it was my sophomore year and I was going through a lot. And family wise, a lot in my family. There was so much going on with my family that I couldn't focus in school and basketball wasn't going how I needed it to go. And I don't think he understood that. And it was one day I called him and I just went to his office. I was like, "You in your office?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm in the office." And when I walked into his office, I closed the door and I just bust out crying. And he didn't know what to do. And in that moment, I said, "Now you see me." Because you don't know what we're going through, but you just doing all this stuff. It's something to understand about players, you know, no matter
Absolutely.
what, how I am, you got to understand the players you recruit on the side of the coaches. But also you got to understand your players and to be able to relate, to be able to come down to where they're at.
Connect.
Be like,
Yeah.
hey, I understand what you're going through. This ain't nothing about being soft or being vulnerable. This is to be able to build men, to have
Yeah.
to understand that you can be in this space that you're in to be able to be great because you're going to have to need that part of you. And that's a part of me that I end up showing in that moment, which end up helping our relationship as the years went by, where we created a trust between each other. And then it was something that I needed to get out, but that was just a moment because it didn't last for me so much. Because at that moment, at the time, I was like, "Nah, I ain't doing that anymore," and that kind of blocked me from a lot of things that happened because I wasn't that vulnerable. I didn't let people in because I feel like they didn't understand.
Man. Man, again, I appreciate you sharing that. I feel like a lot of people, when they look at basketball players, they're only looking at them from the other side of the screen. And
Yeah.
this is, I was talking about it with another group of mine, of how like the behind the scenes of basketball and what we actually go through. And I want to ask, man, like how you talked about mentality, how important, mindset is, going into this sport. I mean, because basketball is essentially just a platform for us to kind of springboard us into the success, right? But in everything we do, it requires mindset. And so to talk about how important like the mindset that you had going into college as far as being assertive, because I feel like a lot of good kids in this generation aren't as assertive as they should be. Their mindset maybe not be in the right place. This is from my experience, but talk about how important mindset is. Playing, trying to become the best player that they can in this game of basketball.
Um, I think that, like I said, it's the culture that you're around, and also who understand anything. Because I didn't know nothing about overseas basketball until my senior year, and we had a coach that came in, BJ Mackey, who came in who played overseas. So I'm only thing in my mind is like only thing I know is NBA until like he came in like, hey, you can possibly go overseas. Like you got talent. So that kind of okay. Let me. I'm already dedicated to what I'm doing because I got NBA dreams. But also I'm a realist and I understand where I'm at. You got to understand it from where you at that point, like what you doing, and in this moment you got to look at on the outside, like okay, what everybody else doing? That's above you. That's at a higher school. That is in the position that you want to be. Do they shoot better? Do you play better than you? Do they do this? What sets you apart?
The
One
game.
thing that set me apart was my defense. No matter how much I can score offensively and be offensively, I probably wasn't the best shooter, but I don't feel like no matter how good you are, you couldn't score on me. So
Yeah.
that was my niche. Like I can guard 1 through 5 and it doesn't matter because therefore you're gonna need somebody like that. And that's just one
Yeah.
thing that I understood about myself. No matter how it is, you want to be whether you're playing or if we're talking about college, you want to be in those last 5 minutes of that game. You want to be in it. And if you can't
Yeah.
defend, it's gonna be a problem. And now in this game, you're gonna be have to do everything to be able to shoot, to be able to have the skill level to be able to play. But most importantly, having the mindset like you're talking about and the intelligence of basketball, IQ. If you don't know how to play the game, it's going to be something that's not going to work out for you because you're going to do things that's not needed in this moment because you're trying to shine. That's not the case. You can't just try to be the star player because sometimes the star player has to take a back seat because maybe they're not doing well, maybe they're not playing well because there's so much focus. But also in those moments, they know how to prevail. They know how to get to that point where they pick their moment. Oh, this is the time. I got to step up. Cool. The mindset of it is you got to be disciplined. You got to have a certain type of discipline where it's not fun. It's not fun doing something that you don't know the outcome to. You just out there putting the work in every day. Where from my relationships to my family to the people I'm around, we can't do nothing unless I'm in the gym twice. I gotta go. I gotta hit the gym. If I ain't in the gym, I ain't going. That's the type of discipline you gotta have. Like if I ain't get the work done, I don't deserve to be doing anything fun. I just don't. And in a sense, I lost that because I felt like people was telling me like, man, you gotta rest, which is important. I do. I was like a workaholic. Like I did need to rest. I just think it was like a certain way I should have did it in a smarter way. And I found out how to do that later as my career went on. But in the beginning, I'm in the gym, and that's the type of discipline you got to have. Like I don't think I don't think kids like to play the game as much. Like it was something for me. I can't even watch NBA. If I watch it, I'm ready to play. I want to hoop. So, and when you get to the gym, like that's the perfect moment. No matter how much you can work on your game, the perfect workout is 5 on 5 out there live. Like, and that's what I live for. I live for those moments, and not just being a practice player, not just being a pickup player. You know how to perform in those times too, but also you know how to perform when the lights come on. Because when the
Yeah.
lights come on, they get too bright, you either gonna shut down or you gonna step up to it. You like, this is my time. And that's when you know you got somebody because they embrace it. And when you have moments where it's not too high for you, and you have moments where you miss the game winning shot, you miss the free throw, you miss those moments that you would get praised for. Like you would get a lot of likeness. People gonna hype you up. It's like, dang, you did. You a hero. But those are you gonna miss some moments where you're not like that. And how you handle that. How you handle those times where you wasn't your best. How can you
Exactly.
bounce back from that time where you didn't have a great game and now you got to come and now you got to wait a whole another 5, 6 days just to play again?
Yeah.
And you got to understand, or you missed the shot to win the game that was important. Now you got to sit there and be like, your teammates kind of looking at you like,
Yeah. Right.
like, how you gonna feel that way? You gotta embrace that. That's a part of the game, and I think that's the mentality you have to have and the toughness you got to have a little bit. Where I feel like when I say emotionally in that moment I had with my coach, I couldn't have no more because that's what I understood. That's what I
Yeah.
understood. That it's like there's a lot of things, there's a lot of responsibility on my hand, on my shoulders that I know people are depending on me in this situation, and that's just the reality of it. Is it fair? Not all the times, but that's a part of the game. That's just a part of
Exactly.
it.
Man, hey, that's good stuff, bro. That's good, man. That's some heavy stuff right there, bro. Everything that you said, the adversity, these are the type of things that these kids, the kids at least that I'm been experiencing, that they don't understand, the adversity aspect of everything and how to handle all that stuff. And this is going to be important for them to wrap their brain around, because in everything that we do, everything that we go through in our life, especially life life outside the court, right? You talk about family and things that you're dealing with, those type of distractions that can have an impact on your mental. It all matters, and how you approach it, is going to be, very important to continue you know, to continue to be your best on the court, to be as focused as you can, right? So that's good stuff, bro. So talk to me about going into how'd you get overseas? Uh, what was your first gig? I see it was the Netherlands, obviously. So that was where we met. That was where we met in the Netherlands. All right. So how did you end up getting that job?
Um, I remember after my senior year, I was waiting and I was waiting, and it was like, my agent at the time, it was still my agent to this day. Um,
Well, let's rewind back. Let's talk about the agent thing. How'd you even what was that?
I said that's a good conversation.
Yeah. So how'd you end up getting the agent that you got, and what was that process like?
Man, like I said, I didn't have no understanding of it. And it was just fortunately that, God, like putting somebody in our coaching staff that played, and that was BJ Mackey, who played at University of South Carolina, who played overseas, and BJ was really good as a basketball player. Like it's been like, especially when we talk about like a rank sports, like All American type of vibe. So he understood. And his agent at the time, he ended up bringing me in cahoots with his agent. And I didn't know nothing. So I was open. I had to trust the situation. I had to trust it. Not saying them, but like not saying his name Dave Gassman. Really good, great. Really, really good guy. And he just worked. And I think that in that time I had to trust the process because I knew that in college I understood that I was going from playing the 4-5 and I was trying to get teams to see me as a three when I had no footage of that. No footage of that. Like no, not since like my sophomore year, because that's another thing when you're trying to pick schools and stuff. Like you're going into a situation like, oh, I'm gonna be playing a three, but just because it doesn't work and then they end up getting another guy and I end up getting somebody else, and you just fit better here for the team. That was a choice I had to make because I could have easily been like, nah, which I did want to transfer a couple years in college, but I could have been easily like, but I didn't want to sit out 365 days. It's a different time now. I can go, now I could just transfer by tomorrow and be all right. So, but
Right.
he ended up getting me connected to his agent, and that's just how we got connected. And I just trust the process. It was a long process of that, and it was not so much of complicated, but I have heard stories. I was just very fortunate in that situation. I feel like because I don't think like some people didn't don't have the coaches don't have those type of connections, and that's just very unfortunate. And that's just something. Is it a conversation to have? Like, oh, like do you got agent connections? I don't think it's the conversation to have with your coach, especially if you're looking. But it's definitely helpful because a coach can say, "Hey, I know all these agents," but it's about you. It's about your performance, how you play, what you do on the court. I think that's going to take care of itself. I think that's just my opinion. No matter if I feel like you're talented, someone's going to find you, someone's going to see you. That's just how I looked at it. It doesn't always work that way, and it comes in your situation. But I think in today's game is different. No matter where you play at, you can play in a small conference. You can play in Division Two. It doesn't matter now. Like you're good, you can play. People gonna see you, especially with social media. They're gonna see you or like now today you should showcase yourself, put yourself out there,
Mm.
use your platform. I think when we was playing, it was so much of just focus on basketball. That's it. And we had that type of mentality because that's what we knew. It wasn't like when you try to expose yourself to something different, it wasn't like they was kind of encouraging that. It was more so, no, 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 no. You focus on basketball, focus on basketball. So I think you have the opportunity, I think kids have the opportunity to expose themselves more within the basketball game and outside the basketball game to put themselves because
Absolutely.
you bring so much to the game that you don't really understand. Like I think that's just it's for me. Contracts should be different, even overseas. Like we can talk about it another day, but it's like for me, the way I see it now, it's a lot of things that could be implemented to help these guys even playing professionally because there's so much you're doing that you can utilize way more than it was because I understood that for myself, my own experience. But going back to the Netherlands when I first got there, it was I was a little late coming in. I think one of the guys got hurt, and they at that time they needed to change, and they was like, I think they gave me a change, and that was that moment. That's how it works sometimes. It just someone gets hurt. Hey, you ready? Yeah, I've
Yeah.
been ready to work you. Like, now was your chance. Now, and that was my opportunity. And then I got there. You know better than me how the Netherlands was. It was get there and it's like we playing on elementary court concrete
Yep.
uh, with a piece of I wouldn't even know what you call it. It was a piece of paper that was over that to be a basketball court. No really
Yep.
type of like no type of medical treatment. It was a tough time, but
Yeah.
I knew I had to perform. I knew I had to. I was like, I want this to work. So I end up coming there and I mean you, and it was Joe, and it was my first experience. I didn't know how long you been, how what year that was for you.
It was a cool year for me, man. I really liked the Netherlands, but like you said, it was really low. The organization, low in the organization, even though they had money, right? They had a lot of money, but I don't think they had a lot of knowledge on how to run an organization, right? You talk about the basketball court, you talk about the medical staff, our coaches. Even though I liked Mark a little for the most part as a person, as a coach, I think he put a lot of not a lot of pressure, but he didn't have he put a lot of he relied on the players a lot to figure out plays, to be the coach. And I think that hurt us. It hurt me, me getting into the coach that one time on the court, and then that kind of led to my departure because I just didn't really feel like what was going on was the things that we should have been doing to get better. Um, so for me, the Netherlands was a cool country to be in, but as far as the organization, and they're not the only organization like that, but there could have been some work done as far as having a well knowledgeable coach that could have brought our team because I feel like we were decent. We had some decent players, and we could have been better than we were.
Yeah, yeah, very true, very true. It was an experience. Like it was an experience for me. That's all I can say. And like I said, it was my first year, so I was like oblivious to everything. I was just there. I was excited to be there, and it was just.
Yeah.
And at that time, I ended up having two surgeries that year. My first year overseas, two surgeries, and the same knee, torn meniscus twice. So that was different for me. It was different, and shout out to Mark in that time. I think he told me because it was taking me like 30 minutes to get warmed up, but I would go play these games, and I ended up averaging like 15. So it was just like, but it got to the point. Got December came, and he was like, "Hey man, like you might need to go see a doctor," because in my mind, because of my mentality, just in college, it was go hard or go home. It was it was no in between. Like, hey, are you feeling okay? Like, are you okay? Is your body doing well? It wasn't so much of that. It was like, if you're not playing through pain, you soft. Simple. That was just the mentality they have for us. Like, and
Yeah,
it's just like, this is what I know. So I'm thinking that if I be like, hey, my knee is bothering me, this, that, like, I need to go see a doctor. It's like, oh, you're gonna go home. We don't take. I'm not thinking of it as like, no, we don't take care of you. This. So that's just me, just not knowing things or just having going overseas into experience when nobody is really telling me nothing. And maybe I didn't ask the right questions, but I just feel like up today, if someone come to me about basketball, I'm going to tell them straight up, like playing overseas is not what you think it's going to be, but it has a possibility of being something amazing. But you're going to have to work towards
absolutely,
it. You're going to
absolutely.
have to work towards it. It's not going to be just oh, I'm overseas, I'm hooping. And like, no, you're going to be grinding.
Yeah, it's a grind, man. And I wish I would have taken. I wish I would have known that for myself. Like we talked about, reflecting on past and I wish I would have maximized every opportunity that I had because me going overseas, when you get there, it's like what did I get into? You know what I'm saying? Like you're missing home, the food's different, everything is different. They speak English in the Netherlands, so that wasn't the worst thing, but the culture is different. And when you're used to a certain level of quality, as far as basketball, the gyms that you play in, the gear that you're wearing, whatever the case is, and you go overseas and it's a culture shock. Man,
Yeah,
it's a different way of living, man, and that's a hurdle that has to be jumped. That's something that people need to understand when they're going overseas, and you're not going to be able to make. Not everyone's getting to the NBA, so not to scare these people away, but giving them something to expect while they're going in there, right? Absolutely, and I feel like your story and these stories are pretty much the same across the board, depending on where you're at. There's obviously some places that are when you get there, the quality of living is a lot better. But not everywhere, man. It's not this glamour that people think it is, man.
yeah.
So you played 12 years, bro. What was your hardest experience? What was the hardest thing that you had to go through as a professional basketball player? The hardest thing
Mm,
that you had to deal with,
um,
or not
I,
even as a professional, just as a basketball player in general. I know you mentioned that, in college, you had some family things going on, like. So it doesn't even have to be through professional. Like, what was the hardest thing that you had to get through
I think
as a
just
basketball?
balancing who I think just balancing who was really there for me.
Yeah,
Who was there for me as a human being.
yeah,
Not just Kelvin Martin as the basketball player, but Kelvin Martin as the person.
yeah,
And I think that was very challenging because I didn't have so much um I didn't have so many people that was close to me, and I wouldn't allow people to get close to me. And there was times I felt lonely. There was times I felt like I didn't receive a lot of love, even with my family. And I think during that time, it just put me tunnel vision. Like, okay, you want to work out, so I'm cool with you. And I think that just kind of was a little challenging. And then just as far as dealing with certain type of coaches and clubs, not coaches, I would say more so clubs, like different teams. I think that aspect of just how I experience coaches want to play mind games or just trying to change me as a player or as a person. I think, and I went towards that because I didn't feel like playing that game with people. Like, and it kind of, I think, like after about, if I say right now I have a 12-year career pro, and I say probably my 6 year, like it just shifted. Everything shifted about me. Like probably my first 6 years, I'm just this person, just like, hey, we here, yeah, let's go, like let's do this, like I'm all cheers, and then I had a situation in one of the teams I played for that just just trying to play mind games. And I don't really have time for that. I think at that time it was like my fifth, sixth year. And I think at this point in my career, I was like, okay, I'm getting to the point where I have reached a point in my career where I finally got through the grind. I jumped the hurdle and now I'm here. And now as I get here, it's like we want to play games. I'm just like, I'm a friendly. I like to joke. I like to laugh. I like to have fun. That's what we here for. We playing the game, but when it's time to play, I'm serious. I'm ready to play. It's not a time. No one can say, "Hey, he's not ready to play. He's not ready to play." And I think that in those type of times, in those situations of my career, I think that kind of changed me because it made me not be as playful and just be so serious. Where now, when people look at me, they don't think that I'm having fun or nothing like this because in the times I tried to, it was looked down upon. Like you're not taking this serious. You're not doing this. I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm gonna be straight faced like this, and now you're gonna be like, do we like being here? Like we
Right. Like, what's going on, dude? Yeah.
you ain't gonna really want to talk to me. It's different because I'm just looking at you dead face. Like, do you like it? Or do you want to be here? I don't know if I can talk to him. I don't know. Like I'm just and if I know like I tell people I probably grew up people the wrong way. I wear glasses because I can't see for sure. But I wear my glasses because I know how my face can just be just straight off looking at me. So and as I got older, and I had a teammate probably when I was in Japan that told me about this. He was like, bro, you look very unapproachable. Like, I'm kind of scared to talk to you about this, like, whatever. And I'm like, and once he got to know me, he was like, no, man, you a really kind dude. Like, you really genuine. You want to really help. I said, I said, you don't know my story. I don't, it's a lot of experiences I have in my life that made me how I am now. And it's cliche to say, but we always say ball is life, but it really is like our life experiences are in this. And our basketball career, it has changed us in the sense. It has molded us into certain ways. And there's things that outside of it, like as I start slowing down and playing so much, I realized so much about myself that I am and how I am that kind of threw me off a little bit. I'm like, wow, that is so yeah, man. It's just those situations, the mind games that people that coaches and teams try to play and try to throw you off and try to change you from doing things like not being a part of. They want you to come to their country and just play basketball. But that's I'm here and I'm going to do that. But at the same time, I can't we can't treat this like prison. We can't treat this like I have to stay in my apartment. I can't go out. I can't do this. I can't do that. No, I have a life. And if the only
Exactly.
way I'm going to enjoy this experience, if I live it, I have to live your culture. That's the whole point. And I think that's a lot of times that a lot of clubs, a lot of teams didn't understand that. They only want you to focus on the basketball, whereas like I'm gonna get that done anyway. That's just what I do. Like so
Yeah, bro. I mean, because you gotta, I mean, you're spending 10 months out of the year, man. I mean, you're literally living out there. You know what I mean? It like the mindset, the aspect of it, it's so crucial, man. I remember being homesick a couple of times, especially my first year out, and I was in a decent country. I was in Belgium too, but that was my first year out, and I didn't know any better. So nah, man. I mean, this is all about, man. Because mindset is everything. If you're not happy with what you're doing, you're not happy with where you're at. It can affect you on the court. It can affect everything around you, man. It changes things, man. So, absolutely. So, I mean, with piggybacking that, what are some challenges that players can expect? With playing overseas.
oh so many, so many. I just think like going there and not understanding what your role gonna be. Going there expecting to do one thing and it changes. Um, dealing with that the understanding that depending on how long your career is, you gotta think how many years you played college?
I played uh I played 12. I
12
played
years.
or 13, 12 and a half.
All right, cool. Think about 12 years of your life you played overseas. Therefore, that means that 3 months, 2 to 3 months every year you spend home with your family, and the rest is overseas. So, all for 12 years, your whole mindset is I'm in this country. This is how I have to be in this country. And every country is different depending
Yeah.
on where you go. Like it's just different. Me personally, Italy is one of my favorite countries just because the culture was a little different. Was all my years the best there? No, I had some troubling times in certain years, but it comes with it because depending
Comes
on
with
what
it.
team you in, what team you on, like how big they want to be or what their goal is. It just depends. They expect certain things, and the fans, the support, the people that's supporting you is different. It's just like some fans are like really critical on what you're doing. They don't want you to live. The only thing they want you to do is play basketball.
Yep.
To understand that like you have to experience this life and understand that, bro. Like basketball is something that you do. It's not who you are. It's not who you are. Like you are a human being. You have a life outside of basketball, and you need to work towards that. Like put your focus in basketball and do that. Critical, but also prepare for everything else outside of it. And as you're playing in your career, use this as an opportunity to make the most of whatever it is you want to do. And I think that is just one of the few challenges that I can just think of on top of my head of just something that I experienced just because like, and you might not be liked all the time.
I mean, dang, we're running short on time, but we're definitely gonna have to do an episode too because that's exactly it, bro. That's the other reason why I started this podcast too, and something that I wanted to address. And you kind of hit a lot of those targets that I was gonna ask you as far as what do you think? I mean, players needing to use this as a platform to figure out what they want to do in life because that's something I didn't do. And I fell into a depression. After when basketball stopped, I got injured, thinking that in my mind that I was going to continue to play basketball and make enough money to or trying to get to a place that I didn't think that I was at, but I lost myself. Basketball was my identity, right? That was all the only thing that I knew. And I wish that I would have utilized all of that time, that 12 years, to develop a new skill, to develop a new craft. God has blessed us with the ability to be anything that we put our mind to. And I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have developed some type of skill to to transition from from basketball overseas life to the regular life because there's a lot of players out there that have a tough time transitioning as I did. And
Mhm.
so talk to me about Rare Heart, about the Rare Heart Foundation. What made you how'd you get that started? We're definitely going to have to do a round two because I have some more questions for you. So I'll give you a couple more questions and then we'll definitely do a round two. But how'd you get Rare Heart started? See that you got the gear on, and how was that moving?
Um, Real hard probably happened when I was really a kid, like as of 5, 6 years old playing Legos, and not always in my mind something just hit. And I'm one of the people that I feel like, God presents these ideals and things to us in our mind that we can explore and we can see what happens. And since I was a kid, I always wanted to something to do to help people. And that is what it is. So, Real Hard is my nonprofit. It is a brand too as well. Like I do sell merch for it, but the main thing for Real Hard is to spread love and positivity by creating opportunities, sharing resources, and inspiring the mind. And this is just something like I said, what you're doing is just helping other people with the knowledge that you have, the resources that you have, and just the inspiration through your stories and through your experiences. That's literally what Real Art is about. And I got the opportunity to do this throughout my playing career. It kind of really changed. It started with the name of Off the Court when I first started playing basketball overseas because it was just off the court. It was just kind of simple. As 5 years went by, I wanted something that was nothing that didn't have something to replicate basketball, something didn't have nothing to do with basketball. And that's where Rare Heart came. I was in a tough place in my life, and I just felt like I needed love. And I was like, I can't be the only one that feels this way, that just needs some love and positivity, something. And I just feel like, we just come into a world where everything is just negative. Everybody want to put somebody else down, and all we seeing is something that's bad or just not, and it's consuming us. So it's like what I want to do is put out content that's just about love and positivity. Just something that's going to be like you see, like I like this man. You see, like you
Amen.
see
Right
it like
on.
I'm happy. It gives you a good feeling instead of just being like I know life is hard. I know we all have our struggles and our downs, and but we all need to be pulling for one another. I don't want to see you lose. I want to see you win, and I'm praying that you win. And if it's above me, because that helps me, it inspires me because I see all the things you experience in your life. You don't have to show me, but if you say, "Man, I had a tough, but I'm here now." That's what I'm talking about. So that's just how that started. That's just a little brief summary of how that got together.
I love that, man. I definitely want, when we get back on, definitely want to know more about that. Um, one piece of advice that you can give to the generation coming up that will help them in their journey, in their path of playing basketball, trying to become an elite player, not just on the court, but off the court.
Um, I, I I spoke about this before, but don't allow other people to project their fears onto you. Don't let other people project their fears onto you. They'll tell you what you can't do or something that you shouldn't do just for the benefit, more so either for them or something that they didn't have the courage to do. So that's just something that I experienced as a little bit going into college. Someone told me I shouldn't do computer science because I wouldn't have the time to do it because of basketball. And I think that was just them putting their fears into me. And I listened. And to circle back, life is going to circle back. It's interesting how I've gotten back to that. And I was like, dang, I wanted to go to school for this in the beginning. So don't allow someone to tell you that you couldn't do something, you can't do something, because it could just be something that they're fearing, something that they have fear that they didn't really think they could do. And they want to put that on you. Nah, go do what you feel like you can do and don't let no one stop you from doing that, you know?
Absolutely, I appreciate it. That's good. That's good. And where can they find you at, man? What social media can they find you if they want to learn more about Rare Heart? If they want to learn more about Kelvin Martin, where can they find you? Where you at?
You can go on most of the platforms, for all the platforms are Rare Heart 2018. And my personal platform, mostly on Instagram, is Kelvin.Martin1. So yeah, that's where they can holler at your boy.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you again for coming on. We're definitely about to do a round two. For everybody watching, go check out my man Kelvin. He is a phenomenal player. We're definitely about to get into the round two, so we can learn more about his abilities and what he's got going on. But until then, tap in.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.